Dear listeners, we have this week a Parshas Yisro, in which we learn about the world-shaking event, the dramatic event of Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah to the Klal Yisrael, and the proclamation of the Aseret HaDibros, the Ten Commandments. And the first two commandments are the ones that they heard from the Eternal Himself. And they form the basis for all other commandments. The first commandment is that God says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, who has taken you out from Egypt, from the house of slavery. And the second commandment is, you shall have no other gods before me. And these two commandments form the basis for all the other commandments, because the first one, Anochi, is the foundation for all the positive mitzvahs, and the mitzvahs that we are supposed to accomplish, and the second commandment, not to have any other gods before me, is the basis for the negative commandments, the prohibitions of the commandments of things that we are not supposed to do. And the question is, if one who honestly believes that that God has taken us out of Egypt and He is the master of the whole world, who has created heaven and earth, why is it's evident that they can have no other gods before Him. So why is it necessary, after you have the commandment that I am your God who has taken you out of Egypt, why is it necessary to have another commandment that goes always together with the first? Do not have other gods. If you believe in the eternal, it's obvious. It's understood by itself that you'll have no other gods. But perhaps the explanation is that the pure belief in the eternal is the highest and the most noble form of expression of the human soul. And this is a very delicate flower that requires protection and precautionary measures not to weaken it, because it can easily be lost or negatively affected. We have to be very careful to do nothing that can, chas v'sholem, have a negative effect upon that belief, because this is a very sensitive expression of a human individual. Just as we know that the force of love is a very important expression of a human being, but Ava has to be always accompanied by Yirah. Love has to be accompanied by fear of not doing anything that might damage or weaken or affect negatively that love. Otherwise, love can very easily be transformed into hatred. Likewise, belief in God requires precautionary measures not to do anything that might, chas v'sholem, weaken that belief. That's why the belief in God is accompanied by the negative commandment not to do anything that will strengthen forces that have a tendency to chas v'sholem weaken our belief in God. And we find the same thing in connection with the mitzvah of observing Shabbos. There is in one commandment it says, Zocher Yom HaShabbos lekadshoi, remember the day of Shabbos to keep it holy. And the other commandment it says, Shomre Yom HaShabbos, guard the Yom HaShabbos to keep it holy. So to remember the day of Shabbos is a positive commandment. Remembering Shabbos, what it represents, what it symbolizes, to do Kiddush, to sanctify it. Guarding the Shabbos means to be careful not to do anything that might profane or desecrate the Shabbos, because they're b'dibu echad nemru. They're said together in one word, because one depends on the other and both are needed. In the case of belief in God, we need an effort to believe in God, and we also need an effort not to do anything, because God, what we see, we don't see the Eternal Himself. We see only what He has created. So we have to make sure that we can, from the creation, recognize the Creator who is not visible. That's why we need a special effort to make sure that nothing comes to interfere or weaken that belief in the Eternal. Thank you very much and have a good Shabbos.